Any sponsorships, so you've got a wide range
No.
of experiences.
This is actually not about actual sponsored. This is something different. How's everyone doing today, man? Dan, I see you chatting there. Beresford Productions, how's it going? I left JK's live stream for this. Sorry, brother. I got a little conversation. We're only going to be going till 6:15, by the way. The reason is I have in-laws in town, and I thought we've had such a good record of getting done early or getting here early, Dylan, that I just assumed. But it's okay. It's okay. No one blames Dylan. It's not Dylan's fault.
Networking comes first.
Right? Networking comes first. Here, I'll just move you around. There you go.
No, that's why I had a networking lunch. That's why I'm
So let's just kick this off. Let's get this going. Oh, wow, we have 2 concurrent viewers. Look at that.
And I'm not one of them because I'm still trying to get to the fucking.
You're not one of them?
No, I will be shortly. Hang on.
2 whole people.
I am now one of
yes.
them. I am now one of them.
Oh, I think you're the second one. Yeah. Hasn't still gone up. Say hi, everybody. So I got approached by somebody in comments earlier this week asking whether or not a video that I'd done was a sponsored video. And it was a video for the Zoom PodTrack P4. And I said, no, actually, they sent me the PodTrack P4. I did a review and I sent it back. That's not a sponsored video. And they said, nope, that's a sponsored video. As soon as they give you the product, for everyone wins out of that. So that's sponsored. I said, nope, money needs to change hands for it to be a sponsorship. And I disagree with the whole gear for sponsorship because that's a whole other can of worms.
That's contra, basically.
That's contra, but let me be perfectly clear. If I get an AKG Lira from the company for doing this, that is not payment. I don't need an AKG Lira. It does nothing for my life.
No, there's a difference between capital sponsorship and contra sponsorship.
Yes.
Those are 2 very different things.
However, being lent a product is not sponsored. Now,
no, especially lent a product. Like, that's kind
yes.
of a slap in the face.
Oh, by the way, gain up just a little bit. You're a little low.
What?
There, wow. Now, okay, you're good. I can control you from there. So this person, like, literally arguing with me left and right over whether or not that's a sponsored video. And the idea was that because the company's getting something out of the review, and I'm getting something out of it by being able to do the review, that it's a sponsorship. But
that's a very loose definition.
But that's not, because I'm not getting something out of it. I can buy the product and send it back to... I can buy the product off of Amazon and then just send it back when I'm done. But that kind of screws the company, and it's a minor inconvenience for me. So to me, that's kind of a gray area. Now, I ended up reaching out to Bandrew because this is something that I was like, okay, I need to know, am I being a douche about this? Am I just being a jerk? And Bandrew takes the approach, which we kind of disagree on the concept of it, but I fully understand what he says about this. No, not like disagree, like screw you, Bandrew. More just like I understand his perspective where he just like, he puts everything on a list. You can go to his website and see everything that he's ever received from a company, as well as where he's sourced everything from, which is actually really cool. And I love that. That is very cool. But he clicks that little sponsored button on every video almost.
Doesn't that kind of kneecap you in the algorithm?
Well, no. The algorithm doesn't care if you're sponsored or not. Flat out. But here's the problem with that sponsorship button. Dan says, yeah, I see your point, but I agree with you. This should not be considered sponsorship. A sponsored video, like the one I did with, what was that company that I did the phone app for? That was an actual, I was paid to do that video, and I was paid to show you how the app works. That's it. That's the only thing they wanted me to put forward is this is how that works. Look, it's great, right? That's all I got paid for. Sponsored video, straight up front, no issues with that. Now, when you see the sponsored tag on a video, you can assume one thing and one thing only, that the message being conveyed in the video is not necessarily the message of the reviewer.
It's promotional content.
So if Zoom pays me $1,000 to review the Zoom 8 P4, PodTrack P4, you will know that I will not be able to say anything negative about that unit. So therefore, if you're going to do a sponsored video, you can't do a review on it. And that's fine. You shouldn't be able to do a review on a unit for that. That paid sponsorship is not acceptable. Now, if you were to be given the Zoom P4 and they're leaving it with you and you can still do a review, there's a gray area there because you are still getting something. They're giving it to you for free. And that's where it gets skewed. However, nothing has come from Zoom that I've kept. Nothing. And if you've watched the review on the P8, I was not nice to that thing. It lost hands down to the Rodecaster Pro. If I was being paid for that, it definitely wouldn't have lost to the Rodecaster Pro. But
I feel
that's
like
the point.
my ethical threshold for when to turn that button on or off is if I'm in because it could be a sponsorship and I would still not click that button if unless the company has specifically requested that I remove or include certain things.
Yes,
like
and
if there's content stipulations in the sponsorship,
yes,
then I would. But if none of that, if they're basically like, hey, do whatever the fuck you want, I'd be like, okay, it's not like for the purposes of the button, it's not sponsored.
Yeah, but if you're paid for it, even if you're paid for it and do whatever, that's still sponsored. So if a company, if Shure reached out to me and said, here's $1,000, we want you to do a video with the Shure SM7B and make it sparkle. Anyone can make the Shure SM7B sparkle. Anyone can give it a good review.
That's a very, because they're saying make it sparkle. So that's obviously a sponsorship.
But that is usually something that would be implied with money.
Yeah.
As soon as money's on the table, it's implied that would be a sponsorship.
They don't want you to like trash them.
So the middle ground then between Bandrew and I, Bandrew likes to hit the button for everything, and that's fair. Like I'm not going to Dark Corner Beresford. Hello, join this stream to take a break from all the drama happening with other fandoms I follow. Oh dear. What drama's happening? I hope it's not in the audio sphere. So Bandrew likes to click the button on everything. And I understand that because you're protecting your asset. Literally, you're protecting your asset. No one can say, hey, you schmuck, you're shilling for this person or that person. No. But then at the same time...
Well, I mean, they can still say that, but at least you're being upfront about it.
Yeah, you're being upfront, you're being transparent. At the same time, though, if you're pushing that button, there's always going to be a question. If I watch a video and that sponsored thing comes up, I instantly think your dialogue has been sponsored. Yeah. What you're saying has been purchased.
Yeah, so if you're going to hit that button on everything I mean, that's fine, provided like at the at the outset, you say, by the way, so here's basically the loose arrangement of why this is sponsored.
Liberty Dude, I'm not talking about when you get the item for free. If I get a free item, that sponsorship button's going on. Mm-hmm. And I've actually failed in that a few times, but I've always said in the video, I've got this, they're letting me keep it, but it's not impacting they had no say in this, blah, blah, blah. So that's always gone on in that situation. And I think I've missed it a couple times. I'm talking about whether or not it's a sponsorship when you send the product back. And that's what I got hammered for by one particular person in my comments on the PodTrack P4. Because I didn't keep the product. I have no use for the product, let's be perfectly honest. And it was a really cool piece of tech. I really love the PodTrack P4. And they said that because it was sent to me by the company and that I sent it back, that both parties got something out of it. And I wildly disagreed. And the only thing I was bringing up is Bandrew would say, just out of an abundance of caution, hit the button. And I disagree with that. And I'm still kind of on the fence of what I'm going to do here. I still don't know what my next approach is going to be. Some changes are going to happen. There has to be some sort of I'm going to have to make sure every video has... I think the middle ground will be that every video will have the source of where the product came from, whether or not it's going back, and the whole story will be told in that.
That's a good idea. Because I think about it from a viewer standpoint. Like you said, as soon as I watch a video that says sponsored, everything that is opinion-based in that video goes out the window for me.
Yeah.
As a viewer. Like, I will pay attention to, like, the hard details, which even then are take it with a grain of salt. But the person's opinion is irrelevant because
Oh.
I can't guarantee what part of that is paid for or not paid for, right?
Liberty Dude, the button basically just informs a viewer that it's a sponsored or paid for.
Yeah, there's like a little
spot.
subheading under.
Yeah,
the
and
video,
there's
I think.
subheading, and by law in the U.S., FTC rules
Yes,
say that
FCC.
FCC says you have
Although
to
probably also the Federal Trade Commission.
federal trade.
It
Yeah,
could be the
federal trade, federal.
but also the federal communication. Yeah, both are
FCC.
probably involved.
FCC says that you actually have to, when you are getting a product or you're getting some sort of compensation for a video. I disagree that getting a product is compensation for a video. A video takes 20 some odd hours to do. Me getting a $100 microphone doesn't cover that video. It doesn't cover the amount of annoyance it takes to do that video.
Well, let's be honest. The FTC and the FCC don't give a fuck about making videos. They
But-
all they care about is like information being disseminated
Yeah,
accurately. That's
but I
all they
still
care
get it. Some people might be willing to do a video for an SM58, and that's
Yeah,
fair.
I mean,
okay.
So to your point, I agree that getting a product, so the value displacement on either side is not equal, but there still is value. You're getting value, they're getting value. So as soon as that sort of happens, it's, you could make an argument that's automatically a sponsorship.
Yeah, and here's the thing. So I'm just getting into the realm of being sent things. So this actually happened to me. I got a boom arm from Warm Audio. And here's the biggest problem I had with this is I saw the boom arm, like, oh, this is sexy. I like this boom. This is great. And I even emailed her back, and I got the Warm Audio boom arm at the same time that I got the Revelator. And I'm sending the Revelator back, which is why I never mentioned where I got it from in that video. Is it's going straight back to the company. Like, it's not like I'm keeping it. And yahoo! While I was emailing, I did the video up for the Warm Audio boom, but then she messaged me back saying, hey, don't worry about it. You can keep it if you really like it. Now I'm like, well, shit, now I've got to reshoot the video because the lens by which I talk about this thing, by the way, it didn't get a great review. I ended up not liking the boom arm after the fact, and now I have this boom arm.
You and I talked about it, like, I think before you worked on the video, and you were like, this thing's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic, but there's a couple massive issues with it that I just can't overlook. And I'm like, oh, God, so now I get to keep it? Now I have nothing to do with this boom arm. So... But now I also have to reshoot it so I can include, like, this boom arm was sent to me, I get to keep it, but it's not going to color the review. Which, why would it? It's a boom arm. Why would I ever, like, color a review for a boom? And that's something I think that a lot of people don't get. Most of the gear we receive that we're able to keep does us no good. Like,
yeah, you got an entire shelving unit full of crap.
Yeah, I paid for this P170. Sorry about that.
Jesus.
I brought it a little close. I paid for the P170 myself. And that's probably my favorite microphone to do live streams with. It's one of my favorite mics in my whole arsenal is the P170. Now, had this been sent to me...
I've been telling you about that mic for years.
I know. And if this mic had been sent to me, I would have been like, well, I'll be damned. It's going to be hard to put a negative review on this thing. Like, there's hardly any negatives about this microphone.
That's almost the one, like, you'd wished that they sent that one to you.
But I'm looking over,
so
like, even so I bought a separate interface for live streams. So I was running with the Evo 4, which is just, it's not a good interface for what I was doing. So I went and I bought the Arturia Minifuse 2 because I'd used it. I'd sent it back. I loved it. There's my product placement. This is like, I told you the Minifuse 2 was a great interface, so much so that I went out and spent my own money on it.
I'm using it. Yeah. That's a completely different situation. That's that's the trade-off. If you don't, if you never want to hit the sponsorship button, yeah, it's easy. You just got to buy everything.
Yeah. Well, no, but here's the thing, and I'm going to continue borrowing because I don't want a bunch of stuff that I don't want. Like, I don't want this boom arm. I don't want the Revelator IO24. I have no use for it in my basement. And I'm almost glad that I haven't really gotten into the interface sphere, like doing a lot of interface reviews, because I don't need interfaces, man. Like, what are you going to do with the third interface, Dylan? Like, what are you going to do with the third interface?
Well, I'm not on a Mac, and Audio for All is shit. So interfaces cannot be used in tandem, period.
No.
So nothing.
Well,
I
you
use
can
nothing.
hook multiple ones up, and actually, like, different programs can use different interfaces.
Yes, which is what I have, but you can't
Yeah.
use them in tandem with each other
No,
for
you
the
can't.
same
No.
application. Unless, again, unless you're on a Mac and you have aggregate.
All right,
setup.
I'm going to get back. Liberty Dude's been hitting us up. Hey, all. I think the button reflects the item was not purchased. And I'm okay with that. However, I'm not okay with that if it's something that the product's going back. So if I'm lent a product.
What if I got a product gift me from a buddy? Then it's not purchased and it's also not sponsored.
And that's the other thing, right?
Like I lent you the U87 AI. I paid for it with my money. That's not a sponsorship, and you didn't pay for it.
There's so many products, including the Zoom P4, where I actually paid shipping to get it back, and it costs almost as much as the product just to ship the bloody thing back. So it's like you look at a lot of this stuff, and it's like, well, I'm not getting anything from the PreSonus Revelator IO24. I got nothing for that. In my mind, I'm getting the views, and the views lead to money, which is fine by me. I don't need the product as well. If the company says, "Hey, keep the product anyways," cool, I guess. If I get a free product and I really don't need it, I try to give it away instead of selling it, because let somebody else enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus, there's the ethical question of, like, if you got a thing for free, should you really be selling it?
Well, I mean, you are still running a business.
Yes,
right?
Like, you didn't. You're converting value to capital and arguably getting more value than.
Absolutely, yeah. And there is a lot of gray area. That's why I give it all away.
So
if I
what
don't
I
need
would
it.
say is, so the whole sponsorship thing. I mean, like, I see what Liberty Dude is saying with the whole, it gives you value, it gives you content. It's like, so let's play a little thought experiment. So P170 retails for like $100 basically. I think they may have gone up since when I bought them. It was $99 when I bought them, but how much you pay for the 170?
P170, I think it was 140 Canadian.
How long would it take you to get $140 worth of views?
6 months on that video. I can actually.
And that's assuming. That's assuming.
Flat out, I will tell you exactly how much money that video has made
because
for me.
I think that in order for us to eliminate the gray area and the interpretation with sponsorships, I think there should be a threshold. If the value exchanged is less than, like, I don't know, I'm going to throw out a number, less than 5% of, what the company is basically getting out of it. So if there's that much of an imbalance, if it's like a 95-5, if it was 50-50, 100% sponsorship.
Yeah.
But I think there should be like a mathematical threshold as to what
does that
constitutes.
last 28 days since published? I have made, this is sad, you can't really see it from here, and it's in auto. I've made $4.44 off of that P170.
So
now, 1 second though. Here's another comparison, and this is actually fair because I'm not arguing with anyone. Mm-hmm. However, and I'll get back to my original point. Let me go find the.
Yeah, we're not arguing. We're all just exploring ideas here. That's all we're doing.
No, but my original point stands, and this is somebody actually brought that up, Beresford Productions. But I want to go get the Zoom PodTrack P4 video because I have made money on that. Mm-hmm. It's got 29,000 views. Mm-hmm. So let's look at the analytics of how much I've made since it was published. I have made $250.31 off that video. Now, here's the thing about that video. Out of that $250, I spent about $80 shipping it back. On top of that, I spent about 25 hours doing that video up because it was a very in-depth review, which is my time.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting paid from YouTube for. I'm not getting paid because I got the P4 from Zoom. I'm getting paid because I put the work in and did the video. And that P4, which I don't benefit from after it went back, I would have just purchased from Amazon and then sent back to Amazon. There was no request for dialogue about the Zoom P4. So Zoom didn't say, "Oh yeah, but don't say anything negative." They didn't say that because they know better. And when they sent me the P8, I ripped the thing to shreds because it was a piece of garbage. There's no reason for it to fall that badly after it came out after the Road Track or the Rodecaster Pro. So when you put that sponsorship tag on that video, on that PodTrack P4, everything I say needs to be questioned at that point.
Yep.
Every single thing I say in that video is now questionable by the viewer. And while it is being transparent, I can always be transparent and say, hey guys, I got this Zoom PodTrack P4 from Zoom. I'm sending it back because I don't need it. They want it back, whatever the case is. But if I put that button of sponsored content, that instantly tells the viewer this guy is talking with someone else's words.
Yeah. Yeah. And that when, reading Liberty's comment here, which I agree with in essence, like ethically, it comes down to, if you want to be trusted, you have to be transparent. Totally agree. However, trust is a complicated thing, and what you just said applies.
Yeah, transparency could be at the beginning of the video telling you the source of the equipment.
Yep.
And when I look at like a sponsored video, and I'm also going to bring Bandrew's words back into this. Bandrew was very, very right when he said, being small like we are, we don't have the ability to rest on those laurels. We can't just sit back and go, well, the law's the law, that's the way it is, because we don't have clout with YouTube. If YouTube decides to send a bolt of lightning down and strike us dead,
you're done.
We're screwed.
Yeah, you're done. So I want to explore a use case here. And so I brought up the one earlier of, me sending you a thing as a non-manufacturer. That's not a sponsorship, flat out. And if anyone wants to argue that with me, we can have that conversation. Me as a friend sending it up, like, you could shit on the U87. I don't personally care. Now, here's another question. So, retailer sends you a product, and you've had this. You've had a retailer send you some stuff for free or let you borrow stuff for free. Is that a sponsorship? Because, you could argue that there is some social pressure from the retailer to maybe be, but this particular retailer that you dealt with, Long and McQuaid, is known for being very transparent about.
And that's the other thing. A lot of, well, not a lot actually. I stopped going to them after I started getting stuff sent in. When I started reaching out, that's another layer to it all. And I think, like I said, this isn't going to be. It's not a battle. It's not me saying, screw you, I'll get whatever I want, whenever I want. Yeah. I want to be transparent, and I want that to be very much transparent. That button, though, is where I kind of feel like I need to draw the line.
Yeah, this conversation, because I see, like, Red Cabin, you're right, in the sense I am technically, by the dictionary definition of sponsored, I sponsored Aiden's video. However, we're talking about it in terms of the subtext of the button itself, not actually what it means to have a sponsored piece of content.
And so when you look at the YouTube terms of use, whatever the terms of service,
the acceptable use policy,
you need to accept money or goods in exchange for the video. So you need to accept it's a monetary transfer for it to be considered a sponsored video.
And I would argue also a permanent transfer.
Yeah, well, that's just, nobody's going to be like, here's $400 for a week.
No, but
I'm going to need the $400 back next week.
I'm talking about borrowing the goods.
But that's the exact same thing.
That's what I'm saying.
If somebody sends me a PodTrack P4 and then wants it back at the end of the week, that's like giving me a stack of money going, okay, but you have to give it back next week.
Like,
I make nothing off that.
So here's a question. How would you react if you had a borrowed arrangement for a product with a client and they included in the borrowed agreement content stipulations?
Oh, I would literally just go to Amazon, buy it, and then return it to Amazon. And that was one of the things I did when I first started this channel. In fact, the M-Audio Studio Kit, I purchased at Christmas, and I sent it back before January 15th. Like that. But the problem is that hurts the companies. And that's not what I want to do. So what I started doing after doing that a few times and feeling really guilty, I started reaching out to companies. I reached out to Audient for the Evo. I've reached out to several companies and they're like, yeah, sure. We'll send you a review, but we want it back. And this is something that outside of this sphere, outside of microphones, this happens a lot with the computers and stuff like that. A lot of companies will send you what they call a review unit. That goes to all of the people. So it basically comes across your desk for a week and then you send it off to the next reviewer and on and on and on. Yep. So this isn't a new concept. And I've looked at other versions of YouTubers that have done this and none of their stuff is sponsored. However, they do mention this is a review unit from NVIDIA. It's going to be moving on at the end of the video. And I think, you know, I mean, you obviously should implement a policy. I think we've determined
Whenever you use that sponsorship button, you should specify on the onset.
Liberty, you do bring up an interesting point. A retailer, manufacturer, commercial entity sending you an item for review for their ad benefit is sponsored content. Yep. They're not necessarily getting a benefit from it, dude. There's no benefit.
Especially if you're taking a big shit on it.
Tascam TM70, they sent me that microphone. And they should be embarrassed that they did. And I said that in the video. They're not going to like this. They sent me that microphone for me. Sorry about my dogs. We have people over. It's a thing. And they not only did they not get anything from that, they probably lost sales because of it. I don't think I have that big of an impact, but the people that watched it are probably not going to buy the TM70. I wouldn't. Yeah. So that's, if there's an expectation, if a retailer gives me a microphone and goes, because Long McQuaid tried this when I first started, and they're like, you can't be too hard on the mics. And I said, well, then it's not going to work, because I have to be able to say, this sucks. If it sucks, I can't well, it's got some redeeming qualities. No, it doesn't work like that. And they're like, okay, well, we'll make sure, when we're giving you microphones, they're the ones that gave me the C414. And I brought it back to them because they're like, well, what is he going to say bad about a C414 XLS? So they made sure that the products they were giving me, they knew were going to be good. And that's the point of the reviewer relationship with companies, is they need to trust that I'm going to be honest, and so does the viewer. And for there to be honesty, a couple things have to happen. Is I can't gain from it. Now, I can go out and get products other ways than going to a company.
And you have several times.
Yeah, and they're going to go away the same way they would if I got them from the company. I literally get no gain from getting products and sending them back. I don't get much gain from keeping products. And I'm actually trying to think about of all the products that I've kept. By the way, sorry, I'll get away from the mic. One of the best products that I've gotten for free is the Rode PSA 1 Plus. It just came in the mail. I requested it in August. I've got a review
PSA
coming on
1 Plus?
Yeah, they did a lot of good stuff to this.
Yeah?
Can I handle being questioned about my ethics and trustworthiness? Sure, bring it on.
I think every business person should be prepared to have that conversation.
But once again, so here's the thing, and I'm wondering, Liberty Dude, why you're stuck on needing to push the button. Why is the button important to you if I can give a detailed outline of where a product came from?
So I think we're the problem that we're having here is we're actually having two different conversations right now. We're having a conversation about sponsorship in general, which is a very wide umbrella. And then, the real conversation here that this started off as is the sponsorship button, which is a very narrow. And I mean, and I think you probably should have said YouTube's policy for that button on the outset, because that would have clarified some of the gray area. You just want to repeat that one more time?
What if the viewer disagrees with me on a product? That happens all the time, dude.
Yeah, that's fine. People have a right to not agree.
And
it's life.
That's perfectly fine. So here's the difference, though. I don't mind being disagreed with. In fact, one of my favorite comments that I've ever gotten from a person was a negative comment about my lighting. I take constructive criticism. However, if people are going to be douchebags about it, like the last one that I just had was a guy going, this guy's a super prick because he doesn't like Behringer.
Behringer.
I'm not going to respond to that kind of crap.
No.
I gain from having content. Yeah, but I'll have the content regardless of how I get the microphone or the piece of gear, Liberty Dude. That's the point of it. And
yeah, the content will come out regardless.
I gain from doing the work. Having content, you don't receive a microphone in the mail and just have content. There is a long process that goes into every video. That's why it's only one video a week. There's a writing process. Well, there's first a testing process, then there's a writing process, a shooting process, then there's an editing process, and then I earn the content. The content does not come free to me.
Yeah, these companies are not paying for the content. Like,
no.
let's assume very conservatively that you deserve to be paid $30 an hour, which is very conservative for a content creator.
Yeah.
25 hours by 30. I don't think you've ever gotten any value that comes anywhere near that.
No,
I mean, maybe the ISO mic.
But then you're also looking at, and this is the most important thing that I'll come back to, because I could literally just fold on all this and say, fuck it, I'll turn the button on every video.
Dimebag, I'm gonna steal that line. if you disagree with me, you're free to be wrong. I love that.
So for it not to be sponsored, the content creator needs to pay for everything they review. That's not tenable for small creators. Right. Justin's incredibly right there. There needs to be a middle ground. And I believe I do know what the middle ground is. But when the button is pushed, Liberty Dude, when I turn the sponsored button on, that is a signal to everybody watching, outside of you perhaps, that the message in that video has been sponsored and is not my own. And when I see sponsored tags on videos, so when Linus Tech Tips does a sponsored video, it says sponsored, and then he'll even say, this has been sponsored by ASUS. You know that ASUS sent him talking points on that. And those talking points have to be in there for him to get his money. And that's what the sponsorship's about. Linus Tech Tips gets a ton of product all the time that they decide when they're going to do a review on it, or sometimes not. They don't sponsor all their bloody videos, yet you know they didn't go out and buy them.
I think the essence of it is, if a video is not sponsored, you're selling the product to your audience. If the video is sponsored, you're selling the audience to the manufacturer.
Yeah, and
that's where
huge.
that's where the distrust stems from, right? And it's
Bandrew might be lurking. I found out that he actually comes here and watches during work. I razzed him a bit about that, but this is also like, I don't disagree with Bandrew's approach either, and this is where I'm a little frustrated with the whole thing. And by the way, I'm not frustrated with anyone, Liberty Dude included.
No, I think both Aiden and I, everything that everyone said here is reasonable.
Yeah, but there needs to be a fine line between keeping my content as free of outside influence as possible. Now, here's the thing, and Bandrew and I talked about sponsored products as well. He's been contacted to do sponsored videos. He refuses. I don't necessarily think sponsored videos are a bad thing as long as they're handled properly. For example, a sponsored review is garbage. You can't review a product as a sponsored video. That doesn't work. No one can go, hey, I'm going to give you $500. Could you review this phone? No, it doesn't work that way. A proper review. However, if you were to take that microphone and play a song with it and show people what you can do with that microphone without any positive or negative dialogue, you have now done a sponsored video with that microphone. And that's cool. You can do cool shit with that.
Yeah, I think to extend an olive branch to Red Cabin and Liberty's opinion and their position.
Sorry, I've missed a lot. I apologize, both Red Cabin, Liberty Dude. I apologize. I've missed a lot.
Other people here have said as well, but some of the most recent comments along this vein have been from those two. I think it is true, and you could easily make an argument that if your sponsorship criteria, so I would say this, you start making videos with sponsorships, and at the beginning of your videos, you kind of outline, okay, here's how I got this product. Here's basically what aspect of this is sponsored and what aspect of this is not. After a certain amount of time, you develop a reputation, and people will just know.
Yeah.
You won't have to say it anymore. You do 20 videos like that, and people will just know, oh, this is Aiden. When he says sponsored, this is what that means.
But I think that's also the dialogue that I'm going forward with, is every video outside of the videos where I get a free product. So the free product, I'm going to start putting the sponsored tag on. I have no problem with that. But once again, I think I've missed a couple, but I've also said in the video, I've received this, I'm keeping it, blah. I will be putting that sponsored tag on the things where I get a product, because there is an exchange and I'm okay with that. However, with the stuff of, this is the most single topic DCF.
Marshmallows are cool.
I think from here on out, though, I think with products that I get and I have to release, where I only get them for a time and I send them back, I'm just going to be explicit in the video. I have received this from PreSonus. I am not keeping it, nor does PreSonus have any say in what I say about this product. And I'm also going to be putting it in the video description. And this all goes back to the button and the power that little button, when you tag it and it says, I believe the thing that comes up on the screen is the promotion, somehow that the video is promoted, or not promoted, but sponsored video. As soon as that comes up, people are going to assume there's
I think that's the problem with sponsorship, is the word sponsorship is ambiguous.
What if YouTube did a thing that actually helped small creators like myself and Bandrew and all them, and they had a tiered system of sponsorship?
That would make it less ambiguous.
And this is something that I would like. I would love to see YouTube have a button for received product.
Shit.
A button for keeping product, or a button for paid. And so you can actually be super transparent with the viewer. So just that one button, boom, got it. You're done. That way there's no question ever. Because as much as a lot of people want to think that getting free product is sponsorship, it's really not. It's so not, unless you're selling the products. I guess.
I think this is one of the biggest things that annoys me about, not getting off the rail too much, but about the world we live in today is there's too many spectrums for stuff.
Yeah,
there's too many spectrums, and sponsorship is one of those things. So I think what you're suggesting, a tiered system, because let's be honest, you can have a sponsorship. That one word can describe your engagement with the certain European company sending you a very expensive mic that we won't reference, with a lot of content stipulations. Or it could simply mean, I sent you a mic to look at. Both of those are sponsorships. So we need some way of being able to differentiate the credibility of the opinion.
Not by the terms of service for YouTube.
Exactly.
And I know there's a lot of heart in the conversation when you're talking about, like what Liberty Dude's saying, from a transparent, like your expectations of creators on YouTube, as cool, but it's also not going to have, like, I'm not going to put a sponsorship tag on something that Dylan sent me because that's ludicrous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And the idea that content is just mine because I got sent that microphone is also ludicrous as well. That takes the creator out of it. You got to remember, the content on this channel is mine and me. That's part of the content. When you go to Bandrew's channel, how many people have watched a video because Bandrew's doing the bloody video? A lot of people love Bandrew's the way he presents himself, and that's the point of the content creator. That's where you lose the sponsorship concept of stuff that's just crossing my desk and on its way back. Dark Corner Studios, you need to preserve this chat with your live streams. Makes watching streams later better when you can read the comments.
Doesn't that just happen automatically?
I thought it did. Actually, I'm going to go in and check that.
I feel like it happens because every time I've gone back and watched anybody's live stream ever, I've never not had the comments floating by. On the side.
I've got live chat replay clicked.
Good.
So
if somebody notices that doesn't happen, please let us know.
Definitely let us know.
Because, that's part of the experience. 100%.
I actually kind of want to go back and check this chat out as well after the fact, because I've missed so much, and I do apologize. The usual experience watching this channel, y'all know, is basically it's a conversation amongst everyone, and I do apologize. I haven't been able to actually talk to everyone today. But this is an important topic, and I believe it's Dimebag said it or Liberty Dude said it. This needs to be discussed more. Because the expectations of the people that follow this channel are the only thing that matter to me.
So, yes, to Dan's comment, absolutely. And as we've determined, YouTube actually does have a very specific definition of how to use that button.
Yes.
So this is really a non-issue.
Well,
really,
and that's the thing.
What this boils down to is the ethics of sponsorships in general. That's really what this has turned into.
And Dan,
which is fine.
To be fair, I've used that button correctly in the past. As per YouTube's definition of it, which just threw me for a loop today when the one person started arguing with me, and I actually had to tell them to stop. I'm like, no more, I'll let a lawyer handle this rather than just some random dude on the internet. Without selling everything, he can't make future content, so his transparency is fantastic. But that's the thing, and yes, Obscure Mics, if you're selling the product that you get for free, you have now made money off of that video.
Yep.
And you need to be very careful with that kind of stuff. You need to actually start saying, and once again, a fine line with that bloody button, because that button does insinuate there's control over what's being said. So that's another frustrating point of it for Obscure Mics. Because I'm going to be honest, if I go onto a video, if I'm looking for a real review about a product and I come across a sponsored video, I am not watching a sponsored video on a product that I need an honest review on.
The sponsorship button really implies low quality content. That's what the sponsorship button implies. Whether you agree with it or not.
You can do great stuff with a sponsored video. And I know I keep going back to Linus Tech Tips, but dude does some amazing shit with it.
Let me qualify. When I say low quality, I mean the information is low quality.
Oh, the information is low quality. You're never going to get an unbiased opinion from a sponsored.
So that's why I think people should be very cognizant of when they use that button all the time, although you could make a case for it. No.
Well, but that's the thing. Also, it depends on who's watching as well. Like, a 14-year-old watching the video probably has no clue what that sponsored video means.
Wrapped their head around that concept.
But if you do know, it can be really off-putting to new people watching. Now, once again, going back to Bandrew's point of just cover your ass and you're fine. I still might. I don't know. I'm making a decision on this. I'm actually going to release a video on it. I'm actually going to go walk through my perspective on this. And because as much as I'd like to think so, the 13 people that are watching this are not representative of the whole audience on this channel, which I do appreciate the 13 people that are, because without you, this Friday Live would be nothing.
I think this is a very enriched conversation. We got a lot of different perspectives here, which I think it leads to great dialogue. I think doing that, what you said, is a great idea. I think setting the record straight as to what your personal business policy is with sponsorship, so that way you kind of have a benchmark that you can adhere to on a regular basis. That will, again, what is the definition of a brand? A brand is defined as a promise consistently kept.
Yeah.
So that's all you got to do.
And that's, I think, going to be going forward. I'm going to make a decision based on how this channel is going to run. And I am going to make concessions in it. I do know that. Like, I'm going to concede that every video is going to have that 10-second stamp of, this is where I got the product. This is where the product's going. This is how the product got here. Came on magical fairies. I don't know.
What I might do is, just so your retention doesn't drop to shit, maybe I would put it at the end. Well, at that beginning of your video, put like a little text thing, a header that says, hey, sponsorship info.
I'm probably going to put it in right before build quality, because that's far enough into the that works. And while I'm going over it, I can just kind of voice it over, so that'll probably be for the best. So we'll see what I finally come to terms with. Bandrew and I's spirited conversation was awesome. I really like to see how other creators are doing it. But I think the important thing that Bandrew said is none of us are getting it right. Because none of us have the clout to get it right. None of us have the ability to change anything with YouTube. We're not the Linus Tech Tips. We're not the Casey Neistats.
On an even bigger level, when it comes to this, which is a matter of ethics and morals, is there such a thing as right? I mean, everyone's definition of what qualifies as right is different. So
it's tough because it's an unregulated, as much as there's YouTube terms of service, this is an unregulated platform. Outside of the isms, the racism, the sexism, all the homophobia, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Outside of those, there's no real rules. I could literally take money for videos and y'all wouldn't know. The transparency, I do agree with that, where that is something that is necessary.
I want to field Red Cabins here, because I think it is a good question. Why do you think sponsored videos are always dishonest? I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think either of us has said they're always dishonest, but a sponsored video leaves the possibility on the table that the video is dishonest. And I think for me personally, in life in general, I err on the side of caution, as do many other people. So if I see a video that's sponsored, I'd rather play it safe.
Will do.
And assume the video is, maybe not have that, 100% integrity, rather than take a risk and assume.
And sometimes it's not even an integrity thing. If it's a review, it's bullshit. I'm sorry, you can't do a review that's received money for.
I'm talking about like the integrity of the information,
So,
not the integrity of the person.
so if you're doing a sponsored video, and I have seen creators do it really well, you are showcasing that product, not reviewing it. So, dude, look at what this thing can do. This is awesome, amazing. And then there's a call to action at the end. If you want to check it out, there's some links below. Let me know what you think, blah, 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 all that stuff. But when it's a review, you have to say, okay, guys, well, here's the shitty part. And you can't say that when, like, if I were to review, what the hell was the name of that product that I got paid for, the cell phone, Riverside FM. If I had to review that, it would have been a completely different story. And that is problematic if you don't know that it's sponsored. Knowing that it's sponsored, you can see it for what it is, and you're like, okay, that's cool. I wasn't deceitful in it. I showed you what it could do. That's what they wanted me to do and what they paid me to do. And that's perfectly fine. I have no problem with that. But when I'm doing it and I'm like looking at this going, I don't think I would ever use this. That's all. That's part of the...
I mean, so to Liberty's point, I watch manufacturers' content as well. I mean, so I'm coming at this, again, just where my opinion stems from is I literally make thousands of advertisements a year. That is my job. So I'm very sensitized to bullshit that comes out of people's mouths, to put it lightly.
Sweetwater is a good example.
Yeah, Sweetwater releases lots of great stuff, and I think Sweetwater will... I shouldn't say hide. They will avoid talking about cons about a product, but the pros, I trust that when Sweetwater talks about the advantages of a product, they're being honest. Yeah. Because I've come to use some of the products that they talk about and use them for the things that they talk about them being used for, and it works the way that they said it would. So now, if I'm looking for critical reception on a product, I'm not going to go to Sweetwater.
No.
Because that's when I'm looking for, especially expensive shit in the 4 or 5 figure range. I want to know the good and the bad. And if I'm watching a sponsored video, I'm not going to rely on that sponsored video to get the bad.
No, and that's also not necessarily a bad thing. The only thing that I say when it comes to the sponsored tag on a video is somebody like Dylan, somebody like myself would look at that and go, the views aren't his own. As much as you want to say that the views are your own, as soon as you see that sponsored tag, because sponsorship, when you're running a sponsored video, like I did with Riverside, they sent me a list of shit that they needed talked about. This is what we need you to showcase. This is what we need you to show. This is what
you basically created an advertisement for them.
And when I get the product and something doesn't work, I don't put that in the video. I call them and say, how do I make this work? They go, oh, okay, we'll get that going. They'll fix it. They'll send it back to me. Oh, here it works now. That was not my own review of Riverside FM, and that was the point of it being sponsored. So, and that's where, if that's in front of every video, people are going to expect that, and not necessarily everybody, but I guarantee you there's a good portion of people that see sponsored and go,
ooh, Liberty Dude just dropped a bomb. Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. I got to give it to him. When you add an affiliate link, that makes money too. So you could argue that even if a video isn't sponsored, if there's affiliate links,
okay, so
right,
is
that
it
also
sponsored?
Challenges.
Is it sponsored then if I buy the product and sell it?
It's not. However, I would say that because we're talking about the integrity of the information. So if you have affiliate links, there's also motivation there to obscure some details, we'll say.
Yeah, sure, but then you're just going to have to decide who you trust and who you don't.
Yes. That's where all this boils down to trust.
Any reviewer that's running without links in their videos is definitely not capitalizing on, and they're going to be doing this part-time for a long time.
Yeah. You're not going to see growth.
I don't see affiliate links in anything. I've actually had a few where I didn't even bother putting the affiliate link into the review or into the description because I don't want you to buy this product.
So and that is a good ethical protocol.
But that's the thing. But that's also where you have to, as a viewer, have to decide whether or not you trust my voice when it comes to this. And I have no control over your trust of me. If you decide, no, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, or I think this guy's a shill, which I've already been accused of being, that's up to you.
So just distilling Liberty Dude's point is that Just because a sponsored video is sponsored doesn't mean the information is bad. And just because a video is not sponsored does not mean the information is good.
And it's not necessarily to do anything with the money made off of video. That's also a separation here. Is the company isn't paying me with the affiliate links. Amazon is. Amazon gives me money out of their cut, not out of the cut from the Zoom. Amazon paying me would mean that Amazon would be sponsoring the thing. If Zoom pays me to do a video on a product, that is a sponsored video. Or if they, I guess, officially send me a Zoom, let's say they send me the H8, the Zoom 8, and they want me to do, and they're like, here, you can have it. We just want to review out because
that's a bad name for a product. I just realized
so
that.
Is.
I just realized that.
we know you're gonna love this product. So here you go. You can keep it. We know you're gonna love it. You're gonna use it. Here you go. And I've got actually a great example before I have to leave. Beresford in the UK, you have to declare affiliate links as ads. Well, of course they are.
I know the UK has substantially larger policies surrounding marketing and advertisements.
All affiliate links are ads. All affiliate links are, if you're going to buy it.
100%. There's value exchange. Absolutely.
Affiliate links don't just necessarily include the links of stuff that you buy from the link. If you click on an affiliate link, anything
and you add a bunch of shit to your cart,
no, for 24 hours, dude.
I'm not sure I agree with that. I think that needs to not be.
But that's not in my control. It's just
I know. Absolutely. And I'm just saying.
I've seen some
Amazon.
late
What
night
the fuck?
snacks being purchased. Like it's amazing how. But that's the point. Is
I
Amazon
did not know
pays
that.
me? Amazon pays me. It's, by the way, free information. You go to Amazon, you can find out. Amazon pays me for bringing people to their site. That's what I'm being paid for. Is, oh, you brought somebody to Amazon. And by the way, it's incredibly small amounts of money.
I was going to say, everyone's there anyway.
Yes, it's exceptionally small amounts of money.
Now, if Amazon was a smaller company, like if you got an affiliate link for Sweetwater, I'm sure you'd get substantially more money.
Dan's looking out for my wife saying, don't get into too much trouble. I'm leaving in 2 minutes. So here's the question. I got a free guitar from Schecter, right? And fully going to admit that in the videos.
Yeah.
But if I release a video with that guitar in it, let's say the 30th video with that guitar in it, is it sponsored?
Do you talk about the guitar? Do you even make reference to, other than playing it? Do you make reference to the guitar?
I'm never reviewing the guitar, and that was understood.
So I would say it is sponsored, but the sponsorship in that instance is irrelevant.
Yeah, but it's not. Yeah, I'm not selling the guitar. I'm playing the guitar.
Exactly.
It's going to be the guitar I play.
So in a literal sense, yes, it is sponsored, but the sponsorship, as far as what the audience should be concerned about, is not relevant.
It's redundant. You need to put in links. Haha. I'm kind of neither here nor there on the links. They help pay the bills, and I love them for that. There are times where I forget to put the bloody links in. I hate doing it. But it is also a massive source of income for YouTubers. And it is, if you want to support a channel, it is a great way to do it. And that's where those links come in handy, where if I do a review on the PodTrack P4 and that convinces you, you know what, fuck it, I'm buying the PodTrack P4, and you use a link, that's like saying, thanks, dude, I appreciate it. Somebody actually wrote in the comments for the PodTrack P4, dude, Zoom should be paying you for this. And I actually sent that to Zoom going, anything? No? Okay.
I'm actually not. This mic is free from a station. So I guess I'd be sponsored by the station, which I work for. So I guess technically I am. You're talking about, but sponsored by RE or by the EV, the RE20. It's like, yes, I got this for free. It didn't come from the manufacturer and didn't come from somebody that sells microphones.
I once had someone buy $700 worth of Brazilian hair after clicking on an affiliate link for an Elgato Cam link. I love that stuff. I've seen some really weird stuff being bought. And I've got affiliate links in US, UK, and Canada. US leads the charge by far.
Of course.
And as far as the passive income on it, I'm not going to, neither here nor there. I love the passive income because if I ever get to go full time, that's how I'm doing it.
Before you dip, I have a, just responding to Liberty Dudes last year, I have a weird analogy to draw. So watched a YouTube video from a guy a while back, and anyway, so this guy had older gentleman in his like 50s. He'd recently found out that he was like on the spectrum. He's autistic to some degree, and he'd gone through like 10 hours of grueling psychological assessments to figure it out, and he managed to distill it down to one question to determine whether or not you could be on the spectrum that he figures is a pretty good litmus test.
Is that Gerald Undone?
No. It's David Plummer.
Whoa, 1 second.
Holy shit. So anyway, so the question was, while he's dealing with that, the question was, what is more beneficial to the success of society, or what is more beneficial to a successful society? Creativity or cooperation? That was the question. And spoiler alert, both of them are important, but the answer, if you said creativity, there's a higher likelihood that you could be on it doesn't say that everybody that says creativity is on the spectrum per se, but it says that there's a substantial chance that you are if you say creativity and not cooperation. So I'd say this sponsorship conversation is kind of like that. Yes, it's totally true, Liberty Dude, and everybody else here that agrees with that point, as do I, that just because something's sponsored doesn't mean that it's 100% bullshit. None of it might be bullshit, but some people could argue, and I would argue, that the risk of it being bullshit could be higher. What the hell was that?
Cat attacked a dog. Oh.
Nice. That's not good, especially knowing your dogs. That's really not good.
Oh, the cat's got some balls. I gotta give him that.
Yep. No kidding.
I just ran through the house, and I'm a big guy, man.
I heard it. I heard it quite well. So anyway, just to quickly recap you. So this guy came up with that litmus test. That was a question. The question was, what is more important for a successful society, creativity or cooperation? And if you said creativity, I argue both of them are important. But if you say creativity is more important, there is a higher chance that you are on the spectrum. It doesn't mean that everybody that says creativity is on the spectrum. So I'm comparing the sponsorship thing to that, in the sense that just because a video is sponsored doesn't mean it's automatically bullshit.
No,
but
I mean...
some would argue there's a higher risk that there could be bullshit there.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's also not bullshit. It's leaving stuff out. Like, if I were to take a microphone that didn't handle frequencies above, let's say, 10,000K very well. Let's say at 10,000K, it was shit. And I put that on a bass amp. Is that a fair assessment of that microphone?
So I have homework. I have homework for everybody here, and this is for me and Aiden as well. I urge everybody I challenge everybody to go on Sweetwater and find a video of Mitch Gallagher, who's kind of their main guy. Find a video of Mitch Gallagher talking about a negative point towards a product.
But that's, yeah. And the PodTrack P8, they review it. Oof, it's bad.
Is it actually?
No, they're like, oh, this is a great little thing, see what you can do with it. But it's a sponsored thing. And they're showing you what you can do with it. They're not reviewing it. They're just showing you what you can do. And that's all. And that's cool. Mm-hmm. But you realize that they're leaving out all the stuff that...
Yeah. Again, if I want critical points, which for most things that I buy as a conscious consumer, I want to know what it's shit at. That's what I want to know. I actually value that information more than what it's good at. And now I can go to Sweetwater or most manufacturers and, like, for example, Vanguard. Vanguard has marketing materials for their mic lineup. And they talk about the things that the mics are good for. And I trust them on it because they're a pretty honest brand. However... am I going to trust them to find out, whether or not I drop it and it breaks? Probably not. I'm going to look for an actual unsponsored piece of content.
On that note, it's 6:25. I got to go. I love you all. I appreciate it. Thank you for the conversation.
Great convo.
And we will continue this conversation.
We stayed on one topic for the entire stream.
That is a record for us. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate everything you guys bring to the broadcast, and we'll see you video Monday for the Rode PSA 1. Yay! By the way, not sponsored, but I did get it for free. Bye.
Hey.